Hey everyone, Dr. Ramy Drozd here, owner of Lucid Therapeutics, the ketamine practice, but also ER doctor for 15 years. There seems to be a lot of misinformation and rumors going around about the cause of Matthew Perry's death, and I thought I'd come on here and discuss some of the things that I've heard and wanted to clarify. So let's start with the autopsy report. Let's get right to the source. So Matthew Perry was found dead in his hot tub on October 29th, and his autopsy report just came out 3 days ago. His cause of death, he says, acute effects of ketamine, but also drowning, coronary artery disease, and effects from buprenorphine. So let's look at each one of these things individually. So ketamine is very safe. The first 100 times that I gave it to children because it is so safe. People don't overdose on it and die. When people do get harm from it, it's because of a combination of agents they're taking with the medicine. So the acute effects of this medicine, and we say acute because that means it's time sensitive and it happened very abruptly. He is on and currently being treated for depression with ketamine therapy in a supervised fashion, but no one's concerned about that. The chronic use is not causing him any harm, but the fact that he had a lot in his system caused the second cause of death, which is drowning. Next, let's look at his comorbidities. He's had a heart attack in the past and still has some vessel disease. At 54, this is pretty serious. He had a 75% narrowing in one of his coronary vessels, but he didn't show any signs of a heart attack. He also had changes in the lungs consistent with COPD. He was a smoker, with also some bullish changes in pulmonary edema, which is pretty severe for a 54-year-old. He had nephrosclerosis, which we would see when someone is a diabetic, and he was a known diabetic. Lastly, I noticed that he had pancreatic fibrosis, which is serious for someone his age unless they drank alcohol heavily for decades of his life. All of these things contribute to him being in a poor state of health. But most importantly, he had medicines in his system that suppress his respiratory drive and can make him unconscious. 3 medicines that we could discuss right now, all of which in therapeutic range could be safe, but when combined can be very dangerous. So one of them was buprenorphine, which is an important medicine for use for people that have opiate addiction, are looking for support with it. The problem is it still acts like a narcotic in some ways. In the midbrain, we have an area called the pons. It has mu receptors. When those are upregulated with this medicine, it lowers your respiratory drive. In the therapeutic range, it's safe. Another medicine, a benzo, he was on clonazepam, that was found in the system, also suppresses your respiratory drive. And lastly, ketamine can suppress your respiratory drive when used at a very high dose. Not at normal doses, not at the doses you'd use in a psychedelic practice, but that was not the case with him. The toxicology report resulted in a ketamine level of 3,540 nanograms per milliliter. For reference, when you're getting general anesthesia and the anesthesiologist gives you this medicine so that you completely fall asleep, your range will be 1,000 to 5,000. His range was 3,540. So he had the range of anesthesia in his body. So it would be expected that he would fall asleep. And when he's had other medicines to suppress his respiratory drive, what this would cause is for him to become unconscious. And if he was in a body of water, like a hot tub, then drowning would be inevitable. What's important to note is that when anesthesiologists try to get someone into this range of 1,000 and above, they give a very high dose. They start with something like 10 milligrams per kilogram. So if you weigh 70 kilograms, that's the average weight of someone, you get something like 700 milligrams of this. In a ketamine practice, we would give it intramuscular or IV, but really we would start at ranges of like 80 or 100 milligrams. So just to start, anesthesiologists would give 7 times that level to get someone to completely fall asleep. So this is not a problem with the use of ketamine. This is not a problem with the use of chronic ketamine. So using it a week ago is an issue. What the problem was the amount that was in the system in combination with something else in an unsupervised place. So this was not a problem with ketamine use. This is a problem with abuse of a substance that's unsupervised. And it's just important to know because this gentleman was using this medicine for his own healing journey, and he was using it intentionally. But it had been over a week since he got it from a medically supervised practice, and the half-life is about 2.5 hours. So within 12 hours, he would have no ketamine in his system. So from the doctor to his hot tub, he was ketamine-free for 6 days. So this must have been self-ingested in an unregulated fashion. So the concern here is that there was acute effects of ketamine, but this has nothing to do with ketamine therapy. And ketamine is incredibly safe until it's combined with something. And let me use this platform to discuss what you shouldn't combine ketamine with, even when used recreationally. I try to do a lot of education on how to use drugs safely. It's about harm reduction. It's not about abstinence sometimes. This chart, which you can find on tripsit.me, shows which medicines you shouldn't combine. And look right here, where we'd be combining sedatives. I'm going to zoom up. So if you look at ketamine, you go across here, and you go up to narcotics or opiates, you'll see that it's a no. It'll cause too much respiratory drive, and even in any recreational circumstances, people should not be using this medicine, this combination of medicines. So, in conclusion, I want to really say that we've seen incredible changes in people's lives in our practice that are depressed, that have addiction, that are going through many things, and using ketamine therapy in a supervised fashion is very safe. The way that he used ketamine was very different. So rather than throwing shade on a practice that's evolving and getting more robust and really helping people, I want to say, let's not villainize ketamine and everything ketamine, but appreciate that heavy use and overuse of anything at home in an unsupervised fashion is not safe, and I would never advise it. All right, good luck, guys.